Hi everyone, welcome to my Smart Learning YouTube channel. I hope you can make good use of my Smart Learning YouTube channel to learn better. I hope you can learn in a better way so you will become smarter and happier. Today we are going to continue to talk about the topics of globalization. And before we start, I would like to talk about why it is important to study globalization. I think globalization right now is the global trend. It's the most dominant international development and the most dominant phenomenon in the contemporary world. It changes and affects the way nation, business, and people interact. And if you get to know the true nature of globalization, it will help to inform policymakers when they make their policy decision. And if you are a business investor, if you get to know the nature of the global development, the current global development, it will help you to make business plan and your business investment in a more sound and appropriate way. And as for an individual, if you want to make some kind of financial investment, if you want to invest in the stock market, or you're making some kind of career changes or making some career decision, learning the current global trend of globalization development, it will help you to make your own personal development and plan in a better way. I think it's very important to study globalization because understanding the contemporary international political development is an essential part of being an informed citizen. The concept of understanding globalization provides us with the tools necessary to be productive members of our local and global communities. Okay, now let's go to the next part that I'm going to talk about what is globalization. Globalization is a popular word or hot topic in the academic field for the past 10 to 20 years. It has been affecting the development of the world in area of politics, economics, and culture, and it has been a hot debate in the academic field. Nowadays, in the academic field, and even in current society in general, there are lots of debate and discussion about the cause and consequences of globalization, and whether it's a good development or it is a bad development for the contemporary world. Although globalization has been a hot topic, it has never been a new development. On the contrary, cross-border trade, population mobility, and investment activity, this kind of primitive global activity and development, this kind of activity have been carried out for the past several hundreds of years, and it has been happening in the past several hundred years of our human history. Nowadays, globalization has become a fundamental change in our daily life, and in the past, the influence is just only on local politics and economy, and the influence is not very obvious. But nowadays, it has been affecting every country around the world. That's why we need to examine what is the nature of this kind of globalization development. What are the factors that promoting this kind of globalization development, and what are the impacts of its development? We need to carry out discussion and debate about what are the what is the good thing and what is the bad thing about this kind of globalization development. I know it has been like this topic of globalization, it has been very controversial, and there are different books and academic studies that offer different definitions of globalization since the 90s. And even nowadays, there are no clear and standard definition of globalization. The term globalization is controversial because different people look at different angle and different people look at different kind of interests. That's why we had to examine and study this topic in a deeper way. Now let's go to some of the most representative definition of globalization. So even the term or the definition of globalization is very controversial. We still can find out and look at some kind of definition from different scholars and different economists, and it will help us to get a better understanding of what globalization really means. For Thomas Friedman, he has a book that published in 1999, The Lettuce and the Olive Tree, Understanding Globalization. He has the definition about globalization as simply quotes here, like he said, the simple definition of globalization is the interweaving of markets, technology, information systems, and telecommunication system in a way that is shrinking the world from a size medium to a size small, and enabling each of us around the world farther, faster, deeper, and cheaper than ever before, and enabling the world to reach into each of us farther, faster, deeper, cheaper than ever before. The driving force behind it is free market capitalism. Globalization means the spread of free market capitalism to virtually every country in the world. Next, we will also have another scholar, Michael Waters. In 1995, in his book Globalization, he has talked about globalization as is a social process in which the constraints of geography on social and cultural arrangements we see, and in which people become increasingly aware that they are resilient. Next, we are going to examine several other definitions, some of the most representative definition of globalization, which will help us to have a better understanding of this contemporary global development. Another scholar, Roland Robinson, in 1992, in his book Globalization, he has defined globalization as a concept refers both to the compression of the world and the intensification of consciousness of the world as a whole, both concrete global interdependence and consciousness of the global whole in the 20th century. Another scholar, Anthony Giddens, in 1999, in his book Runaway World, he defined globalization as globalization is the intensification of worldwide social relations, linking distant localities in such a way that local happenings are shaped by events occurring many thousands miles away and vice versa. And for David Hill, in 1999, in his book Global Transformation, he sees globalization is a process or a set of processes that embodies a transformation in the spatial organization of social relations and transactions, generating transcontinental or interregional flows and networks of activity, interaction, and power. I hope these several kind of definition will help you get a initial idea about what the term globalization means.